All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Monica, and I'm really excited to dive into today's episode because I love surrounding myself with expanders, with mentors in my life. And I'm always like, oh, I want to be that for someone else. And that's what really motivates me to continue to share. And a lot of the time when I'm actually doing things that scare me in my business, that make me nervous, that create a lot of fear within me, but I know I have a desire to move towards it and, make it happen. A lot of the times, what motivates me to actually continue to move forward is thinking about in the future, how amazing would it be if I were able to actually share it as a success story and then become someone else's expander in their life so they can really see what's possible for them. And so the fact that I can share the story of how I did this with you today is so exciting for me because, there's just so much that is available and possible to each of us in our lives. And most of the time we are so close to ourselves that we don't even realize the potential within ourselves. And I want to be that person that helps light the path of possibility for you. Oh my gosh, there's an ant crawling on my podcast mic right now that totally distracted me. So I want to be that person that can light the path of possibility for you. I want to be here to support you with questions. So I'm so excited to dive in today just to share with you how I was able to generate $25,000 in 6 months with hosting the exact same workshop 4 times over. And the reason I'm sharing this with you in this way is because I want to show you how simple it really can be to get started with mentoring, to get started with hosting your first ever workshop. It really can be simple. And you're going to see as I share the story, which is more in depth than episode 153. I'm going to share the story of how it all happened. And firstly, I'm actually really excited to dive into this on the podcast as well, because this was a topic I was actually selected for to be to speak on a panel at a business conference I went to this past December in 2023 in California. And I was selected out of hundreds of applications. And oh my gosh, I was so nervous to when I was selected, I'm like, oh shit, okay, now that means I have to actually do it. And not have to, it's I want to and I get to. And so the fact that I got to speak on that on a panel at a conference where my mentor, James Wedmore, is the host of the conference. And that's the first time I ever got to meet him in person as well. It was just oh my gosh, such an exciting moment. And then my favorite part afterwards was I was so nervous to go up there, but then when I'm in the moment, when I'm speaking, I'm just in flow and doing what I meant to do and just sharing what's working for me so it can inspire others. And then afterwards, it was so rewarding to have people come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, I love the way you shared that. That gave me an idea, or I didn't even realize that was possible to keep it that simple and, help people and it could still be that lucrative. It was so rewarding to me. So this just is reminding me right now that if you listen to this podcast and you get value out of it, or if this episode helps you, any feedback that you could give me, just shoot me a DM. Let me know that it's helping you in some way, because I really what keeps me going is this connection that I want to foster with the community. And even better, oh my gosh, I would be so grateful if you could actually even take a moment to pause, go drop a review, go on either Apple Podcasts, you write out a review. Oh my gosh, that would mean so much to me, because it will help reach even more photographers that I can help. And also, I read every single review, and if I can see those words of how I'm helping impact your life in some sort of way, it just gives me so much energy as a generator, as someone who needs to respond to be able to continue the work that I do. I would be so grateful. Okay, so let me see, where do I want to get started? So in this episode, I'll walk you through how my idea for the workshop was born, how I did it, so how I actually was able to generate that revenue in such a short amount of time, how much I made in each workshop, and my total expenses, and a couple of other other things sprinkled in there that I know I will just like, it'll come to me. I'll be inspired to talk about it. So when it comes to the idea of how I got clear on what to offer, the idea was born out of me solving a problem for myself. So over the years, I found myself burnt out as a photographer. I was working 12 to 15-hour days. I was doing everything, wearing all the hats, culling, editing, album design, marketing, customer service, like so many different things. And as a photographer, if you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I just knew that wasn't going to make me sustainably happy or feel fulfilled in my career, because I knew eventually I wanted to have a family. And I'm like, I don't want to be that parent that feels so burnt out from work that I have no energy or time to spend with my kids or my family, or even just time for myself and my well-being. So I like pre-envisioned knowing that, hey, if I continue on this path, that's where it's going to lead me. So I went on to problem solve and create, very efficient outsourcing workflows in my business. And it took me a while because I figured them out from scratch. No one was really teaching on how to do it. And I finally figured it out, and I found myself cutting back 70% of my working time behind my computer. And it was literally life-changing because I was shooting 37 weddings a year and working 4-hour days in the work week. And I had so much extra time available and on my hands. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this needs to be shared with other photographers. I hear burnout stories all the time. I hear photographers quitting their dream because it's not sustainable. They just don't know how to make it work without hitting the burnout. And I was like, I need to share this. So I had this inner this is it, I need to share this. So that's where it came from. It came naturally. So with that said, I want to encourage you to also right now ask yourself the question, like, if I did have something to offer teaching other photographers, little, medium, or big size, like there's just like a spectrum of things you can offer, because you can always, create a $50 course, a $300 course. You can create a $100 workshop. You can create a $1,000 workshop. Like the beauty of it is that there's just like so much available to you. You can get started small if you already have a bigger idea. Like I started naturally with a bigger idea because, so by the way, the idea for the workshop was all about teaching my outsourcing systems to photographers, because it was through the outsourcing smart workflows that I've built in my business, I was able to cut back up to 70% of my working time behind my computer. And so I called the workshop, the name of it was Outsourcing Made Easy. And now many of you know it's an online course. It evolved into an online course. So for me, my idea, it just so happened that because I created such a big result in my life and in my business, and I wanted to share that with the world, naturally, it was like a bigger idea. It was a bigger offer. The transformation the students would experience is much more bigger and ripples positively into so many areas of their life and business that I could sell it at a higher ticket price. But I encourage you to just think of like anything, even if you have created email templates that have saved you a lot of time because you don't have to write emails from scratch. Like those could be so helpful for a photographer that's just getting started in their photography business and they're following you and your journey. And maybe even think about it this way. Someone in high school that you went to high school with has been following you on Instagram, on Facebook, and they've seen you evolve into a photographer, and they might be thinking in their heads, oh my goodness, I wish I could do that. I wish I had the courage. I wish I knew what to do to get started. And the cool thing is that you are already steps ahead of them. And so you have an abundance of knowledge that you can share. So you get to just like pick what you want to teach on, what you're most excited to teach on, and go from there. So I encourage you to just like ask yourself, if I would teach something just to get started, simply, like what comes to mind right now? And just take a second. I'm going to give you some space right now to actually, because it's when we take space like this and we pause in our lives and we ask quality questions that really quality answers come our way. So even just pause this episode, let the answer come to you, and then continue playing it when it does. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, okay, so now that you had this, feeling inside of you, like, oh my gosh, like I could teach this to other photographers, other people need to know this. I pretty much ended up following this system that James Wedmore, my mentor James Wedmore, teaches, which is monetize before you make it. And it's called a beta launch. And he teaches this in Business by Design, which I already had signed up for at this point. It was 2018. And I knew that with this idea, pretty much, I had this idea, and then I'm like, okay, but I have no idea how to even get started with like selling this, like teaching it, all of the things. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for Business by Design, because what I love about the way James teaches is, and this is something that I love how I teach, is like, I never want to just assume that everyone can have the same strategy in their business or do things the same way as other business owners, because we are all unique freaking snowflakes. And so the fact that he literally gives you a ton of different options to do things in a way that is very effective, it works, but also fits into your lifestyle, fits into how you want to run your business, that is what helped me like lean into buying his program. And I'm so happy I listened to my intuition, my gut, and not like fear, because, or the ideas of like, but who am I to like teach or share, and like imposter syndrome, all these things, right? But instead I leaned into the excitement of me wanting to change people's lives, because I knew I had something that could help someone in some kind of way, right? So in his course, Business by Design, I just started going through his course, and then I hit this process, this like strategy that he teaches in there called monetize before you make it. And it's called a beta launch. And in there, he helps you nail down your offer, helps you nail your messaging, and makes sure that your price is on point and all of that. So that gave me so much freaking guidance. And one thing that I love about how he teaches this is because when you're first getting started, this is like a whole new world of like education and then selling the education and all of that, right? It's like, where do I start? So he literally walks you step by step on how to start. But what I love is he teaches you to do it in a way that is empowering and efficient and doesn't waste your time. Because imagine this, imagine if you spent you had an idea, and then you spent months and months either building an online course or creating the curriculum for a workshop, or like putting all the slide decks together. Imagine you put in all that work, and then on top of that, you put in all the work to like putting the word out there and selling it, and then crickets. No one is buying. Or like, imagine that, like that would suck so badly. And so the fact that he teaches us to nail down get really clear on our offer, on how we can help people first, and then sell it first just to see if there is actual interest, is genius. Because let me tell you, you get to decide the date of the workshop coming out, or you get to decide the launch of the course. And what is amazing is he teaches you can tell people honestly, like, this is my first time launching this educational offer, and I know it changes lives. It's changed my life. And because you'd be the first one buying into it, you'd get a founding member's like special price. It'll never be this low ever again. And it's going to take me a month to like perfect it and get it right, or 2 months. You get to choose your timeline, and then people pay for it first because it's such a low entry price point. And it's low is subjective. I will talk to you about like how I priced everything later in the episode, but like it's such a beautiful way to start off this part of your business with a regulated nervous system and not overworking yourself from the start. So the beautiful thing is, as soon as you see people saying yes to your offer and being like, yes, I'm signing up for the workshop, then you're like, oh my God, people actually want to learn from me and are paying me. I've already gotten paid. And from there, you know exactly how much you got paid. You get this influx of energy, of inspiration. Imposter syndrome gets the fuck out of the way, because you're like, well, this is proof. This is validation. People actually want to learn from me. And on top of that, you have the money, so you can then budget accordingly. Okay, how do I want to run the workshop? Do I want to run it from my home? Is there going to be food? Am I going to give them like little journals? Or like, you get to just decide all of that. So that means it could be profitable from the start. So there's just so much I can say on like how James teaches this in Business by Design. It was a life changer for me. And I don't know how, like, I don't know how I would have done it as effectively as I did without his guidance. So that is the strategy that I chose. And so what I did was I pretty much had the idea. I'm like, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to host it in my home to save money on costs, right? And keep it very simple, because logistics like take up time, bandwidth, space, all of that. And I'm like, you know what? Like, if I invite 5 people to sit on my couch, firstly, it'll feel like a nice connecting, intimate experience. They'll get to come to my home. They'll get to hang out on the couch. I have a big screen TV. They'll be able to see the slide deck. I feel really good about it. So I decided to host it in my home. And as soon as I chose a date and the location, I was like, okay, I put together my messaging with James's teachings, and I put it out there. And the workshop like sold out. It sold out right away. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's happening. It's happening. It's a month away. I gave myself a month. I think I launched it in July 2019. And then the workshop was August something 2019. I think I gave myself a month. So then there you go. You have a deadline. I gave myself a month window, and I got to work. And because the thing is about like the whole monetize before you make it, you already have the knowledge within your mind, and you know that you can like put it into a slide deck or a presentation or walk people through it. You know you can do that. So there's nothing wrong with getting paid first for it, right? So that's what I did. I spent that time making that presentation. By the way, for those of you that maybe have the thought of like, yeah, but what if I don't know how to teach people effectively or teach them well? This is why at the very start, if it's your first time doing this, you charge super like low, something you feel comfortable in, where you know that at that price point, they're going to get value anyway, for sure. But it just depends on what you're offering and how long, like James, that's what James is amazing at, like helping you price it out. But like, keep in mind that if you charge it at a no-brainer price, where let's say you're going to host a 2-hour workshop, okay? And you're going to teach people, how to photograph a couple indoors in a studio. Let's just say that's what you do, right? Just ask yourself, okay, if someone is just getting started as a photographer and they're maybe 5 steps, 10 steps behind me, and if they come for 2 hours, if I'm still learning how to teach effectively, if they spend $100 with me based on what I know I can share, do I think that they're going to walk away feeling really uplifted and happy and excited that they learned something new for the amount of money that they spent? That is a great question to ask. And that is the question that I for sure ask myself all the time. When I do create an offer, when I do create a course, I always want to make sure that people are walking away from it feeling like, oh my goodness, like that was so amazing. Like I could have paid like double, triple. That's really the what you want to be going for in order to start, even capturing those testimonials, and also getting like making sure that people are well taken care of while you're also on the journey of learning how to teach people as well. So that's how to do that. And let me see here. What else did I? Okay, so now let's get into pricing. So firstly, you're probably wondering, okay, so workshop 1, right? So I'm at the point where now I've sold it, and I'm making the slide deck for it. And then the date is coming up, and I'm getting excited and nervous and all the things, right? So I'll let you know the price point I sold it at. So I opened up 5 spots, and I sold it at, this is with tax, so $762. So I think possibly, and this is in Canadian, so possibly maybe it was at the $675 or $695 price point plus tax. So that is what I sold it at. And that is like, to me, like, I just knew, again, like the knowledge and the step-by-step workflows, because I also had planned to print out a whole workbook of my step-by-step outsourcing workflows of like how to train people, how to like make sure that you actually get results that you're happy with when you outsource your editing, your culling, how to hire a virtual assistant from scratch you're actually happy with and is affordable. Like all of these things, I literally freaking created a manual and printed it out. So it's not like they came to the workshop, slide deck on the screen, and then they had to take notes and somehow remember everything. I went above and beyond and created and printed these beautiful bound workbooks for them. So I knew that for $700 something for them to get all of these step-by-step workflows that would then save them 70% of their working time, which would give them more time for their like loved ones, their well-being. They could take on more shoots, make so much more money. I'm like, this is a no-brainer price for what I'm providing, and I feel confident that they will get like 10 times the value. So that is how I priced that. And yes, it sold out right away. So in that first time, before I even made a slide deck, before the workshop even happened, I made $3,800, which was already like made more money back for me than I even paid for Business by Design right away with my first beta launch. It was incredible. And so that's what happened there. And now I'm going to go into, okay, I'm literally holding, this is my little piece of paper. If you're watching on YouTube, this is my little piece of paper that I brought on me, brought with me on stage when I did the little panel talk, because I knew I couldn't memorize the numbers of like how much I charged each time I hosted the workshop and how many people attended. And I'm like, I love giving straight numbers, straight facts. And there was like a sea of 1,000 people like listening to me speak. So I had my little cheat sheet in the middle of it. I'm like, okay, guys, I want to give you accurate numbers. So I'm whipping out my cheat sheet here. Look how like, it's so funny. Okay, so I'll give you the breakdown of the sales first. Okay, so workshop 1, 5 students signed up, and I made $3,800, and the price point was $762 with tax. Then workshop number 2. So this is what the beautiful thing that happens is like my slide deck was created, the workbook was already created. I did most of the heavy lifting already. That was a big project, but oh my gosh, it just took me a month to create with a deadline. And then at the end of that first workshop, I will never forget everyone's reactions. They were like, Sarah, I'm getting chills right now. You have no idea how badly we needed this. And you should have charged 4 times what you charged. This is going to change our lives. They're like, thank you. Like people were crying in the middle of the workshop based off how burnt out they already were. It was August, right? And they were just like, I don't know what to do. I'm like at a loss. So the fact that I got that kind of feedback, that was genuine. People were just like right there, like, Sarah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they said you should charge quadruple for this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to host this workshop again because I am lit up. This was so powerful. I'm helping people. I'm changing lives. I want to do this again. So literally the next day I went on Instagram and I'm like, you guys, this was so powerful. Like, here are some takeaways from the students. And this was the feedback. I'm hosting another one again. I just chose a date and I posted it and I increased the price. And I increased the price, I believe it was by $100. So, and I also said 5 students. So I'm accepting 5 more students. So, and I said, this is the lowest the price will ever be. And it was a fact because I knew how impactful what I was teaching was, right? I just wanted to see, but how much demand is there in industry for this? So I can really get some data here to like make future choices to see, do I make this into an online course, step by step. Again, that workshop sold out right away, 5 people. At with tax, it was $898 that each of them paid. So I made $4,500. This time around, that $4,800 felt so light and easy. I cannot even express it to you because the presentation was done. I did actually tweak things because as I was teaching the first time, I was like, wait, this could actually be explained a little bit better. And I did a mental note. Oh, this person had this question. I'm going to actually include it in the presentation next time so that, it answers their question before they even have to ask it. So the cool thing is you also get to iterate and tweak your presentation, make it even better and better and better before you even create an online course, right? So I did this and the workshop sold out. 5 people, $4,500. And when I say like the light feel, it was so light because the presentation was done, the workbook was done. All I had to do for the next workshop was print another batch of workbooks, set up another, I had a chef drop off like really healthy pre-made meals so that in the middle of it we had like a nice like food break for our like brains to regain energy. So it was just like so simple. I had it at my house. My expenses were really low. I'm going to be sharing my expenses with you guys soon as well. So that was so amazing. And then again, same feedback at the end of this workshop. So I launched it again, but this time I got a little bit more like, I just went further with the price because I'm like, this is so life-changing. I know the demand is there. Okay, listen to this. I hosted the workshop again. I believe it was October 2019. This is the 3rd date. I opened up 8 spots and I upped the price to one. So people paid for a ticket with tax, $1,125. So I made $9,000 for me to teach for one day for 8 hours in my living room. Most of the heavy lifting already done. And then I was like, oh, this is just so much fun. I'm like changing people's lives. I have to do it again. Let's host it again. So January comes around, January 2020, and I relaunched it. The date was in January 2020. I relaunched it in like end of November or something for January, and I opened up 5 spots again. Oh no, this time I think I opened up 8, and then I upped the price. People paid per ticket $1,460. So $1,460 per ticket, and 5 people signed up. So all the other ones were sold out. This one wasn't sold out. And I think it's because it was off season and slow season. So people just weren't as in investing when, us photographers, our biggest cash flow like times are literally 6 months out of the year in like one peak season, right? So I think that could have been it because I knew the value was there. So from 5 people showing up, that was $7,300 in one day. So in total, I made $25,000 from one slide deck presentation, one workbook that I created, and 4 days in my living room. And my expenses, so my total expenses were $1,700 for all of it. So that is super, super, super profitable. And what I included in those expenses, so printing the workbooks, which were like bound because I wanted them to arrive and already have it there and like ready to go and in color, like super pretty. And I also, because I love going above and beyond, there was a planner that I was using at the time that I really, really loved and was like helpful for me. So I bought each of them a planner, which was about $60 or $80 per person. And also I hired like a chef to come and he kind of had the food pre-prepped, but then he would finalize it and like plate it here at our house because I wanted them to have that experience too and have like healthy brain food. So those were my expenses, and for all of the workshops, all 4 of them, $1,700. And I didn't even have to do that, but I wanted to because I really wanted to like, surprise and delight along the way. I love doing that for people. So that's it. So can you see how simple it can really be? And don't get too hung up on my example. Don't get too hung up on thinking it has to be a big life-changing topic, like outsourcing to get so much of your time back, Like there's so many, being a business owner, being a photographer, if I ask you this question, like how many times along your journey have you felt like you were stuck, even if it was like a smaller thing that you needed to figure out or learn. And then sometimes it was like medium-sized things that you needed to spend time and learn. And sometimes it was the bigger things. But at every point of a photographer's like business journey, they have things that they are trying to figure out. They have things that they're trying to work through. And let me tell you, like going at it alone takes so much more time because you're just like, I have so many things to do. I'm always in my office alone. You feel less motivated. But when you can offer someone a community, even just 5 people gathering in one room, sharing the same pains, same like issues that they're having that they're trying to figure out in their life and business, it creates this connection, this community. And then when we can, give them the time and space to like learn something together and put it into action together with other people in that moment, right then and there, they cannot avoid it. That's what creates such incredible growth for people. And I do believe that's what people crave a lot. Like it's a nonstop learning journey. So that's the beauty. We get to like help photographers wherever they're feeling stuck and help them get to the next level of their business. So that's my story around that. And I think, let me see here if I wanted to get into, okay, so because I did have a question that came through on Instagram when I asked you guys, I'm like, I'm putting together a series of podcast episodes where I'm sharing a lot of like what I did to, have success with my mentoring, my workshops, my online courses. And I had the question of how to get started with sales and how to get in front of the right audience. And the biggest thing I would share that like is the most impactful is getting very clear on your messaging, on your copywriting, on knowing how to communicate effectively what your offer is, why is it going to transform their lives, how you're going to help them, communicating in a way where they feel like seen and understood and like, oh, like she gets it. She's been there before. She's been where I am and she got herself out of it and she can help me get out. Like that is like one of the biggest pieces to marketing. And I owe all of that to James. Like James Wedmore is a master at communication and really like teaches us how to like connect with that perfect person that we are meant to help at that time. And I couldn't have done it without him. And like my workshops sold out 3 out of the 4 times, like right away, like within a week. And you heard my numbers. So that was pretty incredible. So the messaging part is huge. And then you don't really need to like do anything super fancy. I may have had, I actually don't remember. I don't remember this, but I know I definitely had Instagram, but I don't think I had an email list then yet. But I did have a pretty big Instagram then. I may have had 9,000 or 10,000 at that point. So that's where I pretty much like marketed it. So you already have your audience. It's already there. So you just like, there are people following you for a reason. They're inspired by you for a reason. And there are people that really would want to learn from you. Like just as excited as you get to pop on here and listen to me share just my story of what I did and what worked for me, like there's someone that would be just as excited for you to share it as well, because we are all like unique people with unique stories and unique perspectives. And I'm telling you, there's been so many times where I've heard like a quote or something, right? And it didn't really hit me until that one specific person said it in that specific frequency that it just like resonated with me so much. And then it changed my life. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that. I truly believe you have. If you think about it, I'm pretty sure your brain is saying, yes, that's so true. That has happened for me. So there is someone out there that if you say something from your own embodied experience, that needs to hear it from you, and it will change their life because you're the one that said it. So that's something that's pretty cool. Okay, so in summary from today's episode, I learned how to pull off this strategy. So the beta launch, the monetize before you make it, whatever you want to call it, from Business by Design, from James Wedmore's Business by Design. And this was a strategy. This is just one of many to choose from that I just feel like worked really well for me, for my business then. And Business by Design is a program that James launches only once a year in like mid-June kind of timing. But before that this year, so he is relaunching it again just around the corner. But before that, on June 6th this year, what is a 6th? On June 6th this year, he's kicking off a once-a-year free training called The Rise of the Digital CEO, and I want to offer you a front seat. So It's called The Rise of the Digital CEO because a lot of the things that we can now do with teaching is online. So you can create digital, PDFs to sell, digital courses. You can digitally create a community and offer group mentoring or group coaching. So that's why he calls it the Digital CEO. And this 3-part live training that he's hosting on June 6th, you need to listen to what's included. So it's based on 3 core premises. And these 3 core premises, James learned in his experience through taking his passion on YouTube and online video and turning it into a $2 million a year business by selling a $97 course. He freaking did that in 1 year. He's a freaking genius. And he only worked a few hours a day. So that is a huge reason why I chose James as my mentor, because I will never want to learn from someone who grinds it out and grinds it out. You can't even, I don't want that kind of lifestyle. I don't want the money and then the grind and never have actual spaciousness in my life. I want both. I want to work smarter instead of harder. I want to pretty much work less, make more. And he's the most incredible person to learn from on how to do that. So that's what he was able to create, a $2 million a year business selling a $97 course while working a few hours a day. And that was years ago. But since he's applied those exact same principles, he now operates his business with those same principles in over $12 million in sales per year. And I've taken my own education business, thanks to his guidance, to $369,000 in revenue to date. And as I've mentioned before in previous podcast episodes, having this additional income for myself, for my family, with being able to do something additional that I love is literally so life-changing. It helped us so much financially while navigating the pandemic. It just gave me another opportunity to earn money when I couldn't in other ways. And it also helped me create my own custom mat leave without taking a penny from different government plan options. So it really gave me an abundant mat leave instead of feeling like we had to budget even more, which was my dream, and I made it happen. And I'm so proud of that. And I truly, ever since James became my mentor, I have experienced the most financial abundance I ever have, financial freedom in my life that I ever have. And so, diving back into the rise of the digital CEO. So the training, this 3-day free training that you don't want to miss, is based on 3 very simple premises. So the first premise is business growth happens in stages. So the reason most of the advice that you're taking on your own digital education business isn't working is probably because you're applying the right advice in the wrong stage of your business. Every stage of your business's growth requires a unique strategy and approach. The second premise is the role that you fill determines the results that you receive. So at every stage, there is a unique and different role that you have to fill so that your business can flourish. Do you know what role you're in right now? Yeah, I don't know. You might know, you might not know. And the last one is the more structure you have in your business, the more freedom you get back in your life. So at every stage, you are putting the systems, the structure, and the process in place to produce results. Big results. This is the only way you can be the driver's seat with clarity and confidence as you break through stubborn plateaus of growth. So, inside the rise of the digital CEO, James is about to pop open the hood of his 8-figure-a-year digital product-based business and show you how that business runs today and how it ran at every stage. It's incredible. He's such an amazing teacher. So this training is free. It's a no-brainer to join if it's free. So go to the link in the show notes to grab your spot, register. And I do want to mention, when you register, there is also going to be the option to upgrade to VIP experience for just $37. So I want to take a moment to talk about this because what you're going to get for $37 is a no-brainer, and it's going to be such an incredible investment for you, and you're going to gain so much of a bigger transformation for just $37. So what you get is replays of the 3-day full training for life. So you can like rewatch it whenever you want, which is incredible. Like that's like, I think maybe 4 hours a day. Don't quote me. It could be 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. So that's about 6 to 10 hours of training for $37 from someone that's created results like that in their life and business. So you get that. You also get a Q&A call with James for just the VIPs after he does the live training. So every single of the days that he does the live training, he's going to take a pause after, regroup himself, and then jump on a Q&A call with the VIP. So you get to actually ask him questions live. So that's included for like 3 different Q&A calls. Also, his partner, Jennifer Finley, oh my gosh, I met her at Business by Design Live, and she also is the most incredible human to take you through meditations. Her meditations that I experienced were some of the most profound and powerful experiences I've ever had. Like we had a spoon bending meditation. I freaking bent a spoon like with my mind. It's incredible. So you get to actually experience one of her meditations. So you get a recording of that for within the $37 VIP experience. And on top of that, you're also going to get his complete 2024 launch debrief. So you're going to get a document where he shares his 2024 launch debrief of Business by Design. He's going to share what worked for him, what didn't. So you get all the inside scoop on that. And then lastly, they are donating $10 of the $37 that you pay for the VIP ticket. $10 will be going to Charity Water as a donation, which is amazing. And Charity Water is actually a charity that I work with because every single wedding that books me, a person gets clean water for the first time in their lives forever. So a wedding books me and they get to support a human on this earth getting water, clean water for the first time ever, and they get to have it forever. So Charity Water is such an amazing charity because they create actual sustainable systems within communities where they have, it's not like they just like bring water to them. It's like they create these structures and wells and they make sure that it's sustainable and this community will now have access to clean water forever. It is life-changing. So that is where your money will go. So it's incredible. So if you do want to up-level your experience for just $37, I highly suggest that when you register for the Rise of the Digital CEO, grab the VIP ticket. So with all that said, click the link in the show notes, get your ass into the Rise of the Digital CEO. It's going to blow your mind. I'm going to be watching it too. We get to have a watch party together. I cannot listen to this stuff enough because every single time, even I still learn something new. It's just packed with information. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Next week, stay tuned for next week's episode because I'm going to be diving into the things you need to know about what it takes to get started. What it takes to get started with mentoring or creating a workshop or an online course. And it's simpler than you think. So if you can't tell, my whole theme here in this series of episodes is it's simple. And the whole point is you just need to get started and you will never feel fully ready to get started. You can't feel ready. It's impossible because you don't know the next steps unless you have guidance or unless you're actually in action and you're getting clarity as you're in action. So you will never feel ready. So if you do feel that pull that you want to create this additional pillar in your business, you want to bring in this additional income stream into your life, listen to that and make a decision out of love for yourself rather than fear. So I hope this is giving you clarity. I hope you even got an idea from this episode of like, what is something that I know I can share with someone or teach someone that will give them a small transformation, a medium transformation, a big one, like, because every transformation counts and like you get to share that with the world and you're meant to. If you have that desire within you, then you are actually meant to, and it's meant for you and it's aligned with you. So just think about that. And then remember, go click the link in the show notes, register for your spot, get the VIP experience. And I cannot wait to hang out with you at the Rise of the Digital CEO experience. Awesome. Well, I'll catch you in next week's episode. Bye. Yay! Thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning into this episode. If you got value out of it, please feel free to message me on Instagram at Sarah Monica Photo. That's Sarah no H, Monica with a K, photo, to let me know. I get so freaking energized hearing from others that what I've said has had a positive impact on their lives. Also, make sure to hit subscribe to the Shine and Thrive podcast to never miss an episode. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you all the productive vibes your way so you have the best week ever.